Hey everybody, it's Nikki, and this week we're having a snappy Monday with darling Nikki on Transcribers FTM. And this week's topic is changes. I will say that the reason why my video is delayed one day is because I was out of town visiting my sister in New York City over the weekend, and I didn't get back till very late last night. So that's why it's a snappy Monday this time. So our topic, thanks to Alicia this week, is changes, and we are talking about all different kinds of changes that we've noticed in our partner that have to do with coming out or with the transition process in general. And so, needless to say, lots of changes have occurred, obviously, and so I'm going to talk about a few things that I've noticed. I'm not going to talk a lot about changes that have happened with the testosterone, because we sort of already touched on that when we talked about testosterone during one of the other weeks earlier. So this won't so much be about the testosterone related changes, but changes in general. So I will say that the first changes started when Gabe first came out to me, and I would say that it was a very emotional time, but he seemed as though a weight had been lifted off his shoulders once he came out to me. So that was one of the first changes. And then as he started to come out to other people, he was experiencing a lot of ups and downs as far as I'm concerned. When people that he came out to were very accepting of him, then it was a positive time for him, but when they didn't understand or struggled to understand or gave him a hard time about it, then those were lower points for him. So that was another period of change, because he was very up and down when he started coming out to a lot of other people. When he came out at work, though, that was a really positive change, because it was a huge boost to his self-esteem. Everyone was very accepting, and the people that he worked for, his bosses, and all the higher-ups at his place of work were very accepting, and so that was a really big boost for him. So that was a good time. That was a good change. After he started T, obviously that was a big boost, because then more of the physical changes started happening. So that was an emotional time, and I'm going to get to more of those specifics in a second. After he had been on T for a month, he was eating a lot more. The physical changes were showing. He was more tired. His fat was beginning to redistribute. He was having an easier time building muscle. So those were some of the changes after a month. And some of the changes I'm most excited about, I'm really excited that his confidence is growing so much, because he really does pass, all the time now, and his name's been legally changed. So I love how his confidence is growing. And one change I am really looking forward to is the change that will happen after he has top surgery. It's something that he thinks about a lot, and I think that he worries about it a lot. And so I think that once that happens, that will be a really positive change, and I think that will be sort of the last step, not the last step, but one of the last steps in getting him to be totally, who he wants to be. So I'm looking forward to that change for him. Not because it really matters to me, but because I know it really matters to him. Other anticipated changes would include, more body hair growing and facial hair as he continues on T. And his voice is probably going to get lower. He just upped his dosage of testosterone too, so I expect that those changes will happen relatively soon. And then more specifically, in terms of communication, his communication style has definitely changed. We used to talk about everything. Now he's like a typical guy. You have to like beat it out of him to talk to him about something. So he doesn't communicate quite the same. It's not that he communicates better or worse, it's just different now. His sleep habits have definitely changed. They're starting to even out, but when he first started on T, he was really tired a lot and needed a lot of sleep. But one thing that he has definitely started doing is he snores now. And his neck is getting really thick, so I think that's why he snores now. He never used to snore. And eating habits, of course, have changed, because he is starving and eats so damn fast, you wouldn't believe it. So I would say that those are the main changes that are not totally related to testosterone. Of course, there have been changes in intimacy and that kind of thing, but I talked about that a little bit more during the week when we talked about testosterone. And so I guess those are like the main changes. I know that some guys go through a lot of other changes, like they change sort of like who who they're sexually attracted to, or they might change their sexual orientation during their transition. So I wonder if any of the girls will talk about anything like that. I mean, obviously, probably not if they're still with their partner, but I don't know. But I mean, obviously he hasn't had anything like that. So those are the main changes. But I did, during this video, want to mention one other thing that is kind of unrelated to this, but I just wanted to kind of share it because I think this is a good place to share this. Over the weekend, when I was in New York City visiting my sister, Gabe went to a symposium in Columbus, which was for trans people, and they had like workshops and clinics and speakers who were all talking about trans-related issues. And Gabe went to one particular clinic or workshop or speaker, I don't know which it was, where they were talking about trans people's partners. And this particular partner was saying that, you know, she was speaking to the idea that it's really difficult for the partners because they have to sort of change how they identify maybe, or they don't know how they identify because of their partner's transition. And so in some people's cases with trans men, women who were once identified as lesbians or once identified as lesbians are now being read as heterosexual, and, you know, how does that make them feel? And this partner was saying, you know, that she doesn't necessarily feel that she's straight, but she also thinks that to identify as a lesbian would not really be right to her partner per se. She didn't want to make him feel weird or whatever. I wasn't there, so I don't really know what she said. But long story short, what she ended up saying was that she's sort of coining a new term for people who are in relationships with or are attracted to trans people, and that term is transamorous. So transamorous, I kind of like that because, I don't know, I feel like that kind of suits me. I don't know if that's how I'm going to identify, because right now I don't really have a label. I don't really like buy into labels, and I try not to label myself. But I just wanted to throw that out there and see what you thought about that. What do you think of transamorous? Is that a good term for people who are in relationships with trans men? Do you, if you're a partner of a trans man, feel that that encompasses who you are? Does that properly identify your sexual orientation, do you feel? So something to think about. Just wanted to throw it out there. So still a couple spots open on the channel, though they're getting smaller because we have new people. Hooray. So if you're interested, please message us. And that's it for this week. We'll stick with a short video this week. And I'll see you all on Sunday for another edition of Snappy Sundays with Darling Nickie.